This world is so dangerous. As a doctor, it shouldn't be too much to install a few more robotic arms for oneself, right? Introduction is powerless. In short, it is a very interesting story. Group 2. 107-798-4631, V Group. 8188432247, requires 2,000 followers, the leader group directly seeks management. Old hands, good wine, good meat. Looking forward to everyone's arrival. Keywords of the novel. This doctor is very dangerous. Without pop-ups, this doctor is very dangerous. Download the full text, this doctor is very dangerous. Read the latest chapter. Chapter 1. This doctor is very dangerous. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. This doctor is very dangerous. Beijing. A8 Zone. August Institute of Biology. The deep and mournful cries, like the sound of metal rubbing against walls, came from the dissecting operating room. Make the guards at the door tremble with fear, and even goosebumps spread all over their bodies. At this moment, the brightly lit operating room. But it feels suffocating and dull. A surgery is currently underway. Hold him down. Give it a go. Fix it up. Add more anesthesia. Next to the operating table, 7 or 8 people in white coats forcefully pressed a man onto the bed. His face was fierce and blue, his breathing was rapid, and his eyes were wide open. There was a ruthless and cruel look in his eyes that was not like humans. Immediately after, the eyes changed from white to red, and then from red to black. His mouth let out a low, wild roar. Anesthetic, continue to increase the dosage. We can't add it anymore. If we add it again, it will exceed the limit of the human body and we will definitely die. Can this damn thing still be human? Listen to me. Plus. Add more anesthesia. It's already 5 times that of an adult. If it were an ordinary person, he would have died a long time ago. Unfortunately, those lying in bed are not ordinary people, but rather people who have been invaded by eerie creatures. In an inconspicuous corner behind the few people, Changsheng, who helped pass the knife, saw this extremely eerie scene and couldn't help but show some strange expressions on his face. He can now confirm that this is definitely not Earth. A few minutes ago, he was still on Earth, a top surgeon on Earth. A few minutes later, we arrived at such a strange world. According to the original owner's memory, the technological level of this world is much better than the development of the Earth, but it is somewhat distorted. And besides that, there is also something called eerie. This is the term used by people in this world to refer to a strange energy information complex. It can parasitize within living organisms, causing irreversible mutations. Similar to bacterial viruses, but much more powerful than viruses. Just like the poor man on the operating table now, he has been invaded by a strange invasion. What needs to be done now is to find the site of invasion and then remove it. If not removed in a timely manner, unimaginable mutations will occur. At that time, many people will be buried in his mouth. It can be said that in this highly developed modern society, humanity has encountered the natural enemies of civilization. Finally, under the increased anesthesia, the man fainted to death. At this moment, accompanied by the voice of the chief surgeon. Surgical knife. Changsheng quickly handed over the knife. With the man on stage being dissected, an even more eerie scene appeared. The stomach is normal. The liver is also normal. Get ready to open your chest. Heart, look at the heart, accompanied by a nervous and trembling voice. Everyone around began to notice that eerie heart. This is a lacquered black heart, yet it still jumps and emits bursts of dim light. The black heart is staining the blood black, spreading this eerie black all over the body. This kind of scene is the first time anyone has encountered it. For a moment fear began to blur. Even the chief surgeon Changsheng, who has undergone thousands of surgeries, had his hands trembling for a moment, everyone felt a bit at a loss. At this moment, a line of words suddenly appeared in front of Su Changsheng. The heart with eerie attachment. Being invaded by G.level eerie creatures causes changes in the circulatory system, resulting in a threefold increase in heart power. Task requirement. Collect samples. Task successful, can obtain 1. Technological transformation. G.level hidden robotic arm transformation skills and drawings. 2. Biological modification. 50% improvement in heart function. Su Changsheng was momentarily stunned when he saw the prompt. Is this the system? However, he couldn't help but think. Obviously, this prompt can only be seen by oneself. However, how do samples need to be included? Snatching. Don't be joking. He vividly remembers a group of armed guards at the door. If you act rashly yourself, it is definitely seeking death. Because this is an affiliated campus of August Biotech Company, and this operating room is also a specialized anatomical operating room for studying eerie invasions of the human body. If you can save someone, call it the operating room. If you can't save it, call it the dissection room. And I am just an intern at a hospital affiliated with August Biotechnology Company. You should know that even if it's a heart that has been mysteriously invaded, although it's full of danger, this is also a good material for research. August Biotech can extract some useful compounds from it, and then manufacture advanced items suitable for human use. So, Su Changsheng's life is obviously not as valuable as this eerie heart in their eyes. Su Changsheng wouldn't foolishly entrust himself here just to complete the task. So, there is only one way. Just watch it change. At this moment, the director and doctors on site are all furrowing their brows. It is obvious that strangeness has completely integrated with the heart. Several surgeons were a bit at a loss. What should I do? It has completely fused and cannot be detached. We can only give up the dissection surgery and decisively remove the mutated heart to prevent further mutation. Zheng Chang looked resolute and made a decisive decision. Get ready to take action. Received. But just as Zheng Chang was ready, picking up the surgical knife and preparing to take action, suddenly, in an instant, bang! Accompanied by a sudden and intense sound, the black heart that was beating even stronger suddenly exploded. The black and red blood suddenly lost control, spraying out and splashing onto the faces of everyone around. Just like a balloon suddenly exploding. Everyone exclaimed in surprise. In the midst of panic, everyone couldn't help but take a few steps back, and some even fell directly to the ground, curled up in a corner, afraid to look around. Almost all faces were covered in bloodstains. And the feeling of this blood on the face, sticky, cold, foul-smelling, and even has a fear that can spread. Immediately after, all the lights in the operating room began to flash. Darkness. Bright. Continuously changing, looping at this moment, all the doctors and nurses in the room have been frightened and dumbfounded, curled up in the corner trembling. Fear spreads in the operating room. Everyone feels that death is so close and within reach. Then, just as everyone was struggling on the brink of collapse, suddenly, a huge black figure appeared out of nowhere in the dim and cramped operating room, appearing incredibly ferocious and terrifying. This is not human. It is not any familiar creature to humans. Indescribable. But it's ugly and unbearable. Even people dare not look at it. It seems that his gaze can devour everyone into hell. At this moment, what everyone hears in their ears is their own heartbeat. Bang 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 bang. Intense yet slow. It seems like it can explode at any time, and it also seems like it can stop at any time. Fear makes people wet their clothes. Let them tightly close their eyes and dare not open them. The whole room was filled with a bloody smell that made people nauseous. The distance of death seems to be only one step away. Su Changsheng, hiding behind, only had a small amount of black blood splattered onto his hands, emitting a faint cold breath. Ding! You are in an illusion created by G.level eerie creatures. Su Changsheng was taken aback. Are these all illusions? Can you still create illusions? This world is really wonderful. After realizing it was a fantasy, Su Changsheng also breathed a sigh of relief and began to look at the giant shadow in the air seriously, with a doctor's unique curiosity in his eyes. At this moment, the shadow in the void looked at these foolish humans with satisfaction, enjoying everything. For him, the soul of fear was a delicious delicacy. Can keep him evolving. Do you feel the taste of fear? Just when he was feeling proud. Suddenly discovered, in the inconspicuous corner next to the surgical bed, there was a man staring at him with interest, his eyes filled with an indescribable smell. This human. Isn't he afraid? This made him feel unprecedented contempt and provocation. In an instant, this huge shadow rushed towards the other party, mixed with bloody storms, trying to showcase the most terrifying sharp claws and teeth, mixed with flesh and blood fragments, were about to engulf Su Changsheng. But at this moment, Su Changsheng stared at this huge shadow. What fear was on his face. Even if the huge mouth of this huge shadow had already swallowed his head. However, Su Changsheng remained unmoved. The huge figure wants to express the most terrifying. However, at this moment, Su Changsheng not only had no fear, but also remained calm and somewhat excessive. He watched the scene curiously, feeling lost in thought. Time passes by minute by second. So much so that the situation became somewhat deadlocked gradually. On the contrary, this huge shadow gradually felt afraid. That's right. He actually felt fear. Because he saw from the other person's eyes that they seemed to want to dissect, slice, separate tissues, soak in formalin. Make specimens for observation. He's starting to tremble. Start to fear and think about a way out. Ding. Warm reminder. The eerie attached heart, resectable. Su Changsheng looked at the people around him and was already scared out of his wits. Is the opportunity here? So, in almost an instant, Su Changsheng's hand picked up a knife and his heart was cut off cleanly. The huge shadow saw this scene, not only without fear, but also with an indescribable sense of relief. This doctor is so terrifying. Is he really human or is he weird? Next up. With a bang. Disappeared. The huge shadow disappeared. Everything in the room has also returned to normal. The shadowless lamp still shines brightly. The sound of the machine kept beeping incessantly. But on the ground, there were still people trembling in the corner. Cough. Su Changsheng coughed. That's when everyone opened their eyes. But it was discovered that everything in the room was normal. What about the huge terrifying shadow? Where did it go? What about the blood on everyone's faces? Not anymore. At this moment, Su Changsheng was holding a black, ferocious, and jumping heart in his hand. Ding. Collecting samples. Successfully collected samples. G.level eerie fantasy has been included. Rewards obtained. 1. G.level hidden robotic arm skills and drawings. 2. Heart function increased by 50%. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Strange Index. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Strange Index. After hearing the system prompt, Su Changsheng finally breathed a sigh of relief. I almost thought my heart was going to be engulfed by the system. At that time, would I be sliced by this research institute? After all, in the opinion of the August Institute, one's own rating may not be as high as that eerie heart with research value. And now, Su Changsheng is very worried about a problem. So, can you consider yourself a strange invasion? There are also inexplicable systems. If you can't figure it out, just act low. Key and wait until you figure it out. With the disappearance of the illusion, everyone turned their gaze to Su Changsheng. "What's your name? What's your name?" Zheng Chang wiped his sweat and looked at Su Changsheng. Upon hearing this, Su Changsheng put away his previous cleverness and honestly replied, "Director, my name is Su Changsheng." Su Changsheng. Zheng pondered for a moment, but seemed unable to find any relevant clues in his memory. "New here." At this moment, Yang Huanqing took over the conversation and said, "Yes, Director, this is a newcomer, but he is still in the internship period. He is a very clever young man, and I will ask him to follow and help me." Zheng Chang frowned as he was now concerned about another issue. That's why the incident just now has no impact on Su Changsheng. Also, what exactly happened just now? Is this young man hiding something? However, Zheng Chang did not ask directly, but arranged for work. "Nurse, inform family members that the patient's body has spread with eerie invasion, their heart has been removed, and they are declared dead." After a while, Zheng Chang stuffed his black heart into a metal box. Even through the shielding metal, he could still feel the tactile feedback from the beating of that heart, as well as the coldness transmitted to his palm. Xiao Su performed well. "Come with me to the registration room to take a heart delivery." Upon hearing Zheng Chang say so, Su Changsheng kept a secret. Is it really that simple to give things away? Leave the operating room. Su Changsheng saw that although his family was very sad about the death of their loved ones, there were obviously not many accidents. After all, being possessed by a strange creature is inherently dangerous. No one knows the outcome of the transformation. Moreover, in the early stages of the mutation, if family members enter hospitals and research institutes through normal means, they can undergo free surgery to remove the mutated item. Successful surgery can lead to a significant amount of funding. Even if it fails, like the patient just now whose heart will be taken away, they can still get a considerable amount of money. He followed Zheng Chang, left the operating room with a box, walked through the corridor, and arrived at a doorway. There is a sign hanging above. Registration room. Does a registration room require 8 fully armed security personnel? After verifying their identities, Zheng Chang and Su Changsheng opened the door and entered. In the room, there was only a young man dressed in ordinary clothes, sitting at a table with his head down playing with the computer. Upon hearing Zheng Chang come in, he didn't even look up, but casually said, "Director Zheng, did the surgery go smoothly? The variant attachment number BNF.00239112 has been successfully removed and registered." Zheng Chang's voice was somewhat weak, and he felt a headache when he heard the other person's words. This damn weirdness can create illusions. Thanks to Xiao Su, the dissection was successfully carried out. The young man immediately became interested when he heard the sound. He lifted his head and revealed his mechanical right eye. Oh! Creating an illusion. It's a rare and eerie attribute. During the conversation, the other person fearlessly held the black heart in their hand and carefully examined it. After a moment, the mechanical eye emitted bursts of light and began scanning the heart in its hand. After a while, the young man raised his lips slightly and said with a smile, "Good luck, Director Zheng." Zheng Chang was taken aback and said, "Oh. Is this thing good?" The young man smiled and touched the computer with his hand. Suddenly, some comprehensive data appeared on the computer screen. Look for yourself. G.level eerie, data not included. Strange index. 15, hazard level. 5, redeem points. 20, even Zheng Chang was somewhat shocked and the eerie index reached 15. And the young man suddenly looked at Su Changsheng with great interest, while the mechanical eye was fixed on Su Changsheng, as if wanting to explore something. Meanwhile, a voice rang out in Su Changsheng's mind. Ding! The heart has been strengthened and its ability has been increased by 50%. With the completion of cardiac enhancement, Su Changsheng can clearly feel the contraction and expansion of the heart, which can be greatly improved. Even Changsheng felt like he could control his heart rate. At this moment, the young man with mechanical eyes said to Chang beside him, "Director Zhang, if you have any questions, you can ask." "I'm ready." Changsheng heard the sound, although he didn't know why, he could still guess 7, 7, 8, or 8. This should be a lie detector. Sure enough. Chang turned around and stared at Changsheng with a stern expression, questioning, "Tell me about what happened just now. What did you see during the surgery, and how did you complete the surgery?" Faced with doubts, Changsheng is very calm. How could he be frightened by a young director, despite having undergone numerous surgeries in his previous life and having a large heart? Moreover, after the heart is strengthened, he can even control his heartbeat rhythm. Changsheng looked calmly, even with a hint of doubt. "Director, I didn't see anything. Just now you said that the Eerie had invaded and needed to cut off the heart. Then you and everyone suddenly fell to the ground, and the knife fell beside me. At that time, I guessed that you and the teachers were probably attacked by a strange attack, right? I just picked up the surgical knife and I cut." At this point, Changsheng began to feel a little uneasy. "I'm sorry, did I do something wrong? After all, extreme things will backfire. Being too calm is abnormal." After listening to Changsheng's words, the young man's eyes automatically came up with a series of data, and then he nodded calmly at Chang. Chang breathed a sigh of relief upon seeing the situation. Turning to Changsheng, he said, "You go back." Changsheng nodded and gestured to leave, but his body still did not fully relax until he left the entire room far away, before finally taking a breath of relief. Registration room. Chang couldn't help but ask, "Is it okay?" The young man smiled and said, Heart rate, blood pressure, heart rate fluctuations, and blood circulation are all normal, indicating that the other person is not lying." Chang let out a sigh of confusion and said, "It seems that this eerie ability to create illusions cannot achieve full coverage." The young man nodded and said, "Well, it's also reasonable. After all, although the eerie index is as high as 15, the danger index is only 5, indicating that the threat is not significant. The spirit is strong enough, and maybe we can resist it. This young man may be a piece of material." Chang asked curiously, "Didn't you test if he's a weird attachment? Or someone with weird abilities?" The young man smiled and said, "All the information from the August Institute in A8 district is in my eyes, but he is an intern and has not been fully included. Just now, I casually included the eerie index and danger index." After speaking, click on the computer screen, and Changsheng's information appears on it. Name: Changsheng. Education: bachelor's degree. Age: 21 years old. Family situation: my parents run a small workshop and died in an accident a year ago. My younger sister suffered a serious mental blow and has been hospitalized for a long time in a mental hospital in the D9 district of Beicheng. Strange index: 0, normal, modification index. 0, normal, hazard index. 0, normal, evaluation. An ordinary person who has not undergone any reinforcement or modification and does not possess the ability to threaten the information is very ordinary, and there seems to be nothing worth discussing about Changsheng. The young man quickly avoided the topic and said, "I've made a lot of money this time. Director Zhang, I'll earn 20 points all at once. It won't be long before you get the organ you're satisfied with. By the way, I recommend you change your kidney. It is said that the headquarters has extracted a kidney with a strange attachment, which is very powerful. How about switching to a mechanical one? It's also very good. The new book set sale, please add a collection for the masters. Let's take our time to finish telling this story. Thank you." End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Archives of Su Changsheng. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Archives of Su Changsheng. After returning to the office, Su Changsheng finally breathed a sigh of relief. To be honest, that humanoid 64-row CT scanner gave him a great impact. This mysterious world. Thinking of what happened in just a few hours today. A strange heart that can create illusions. Metal eyeballs with built-in scanning and perspective. Feeling the tangible impact of heart changes. Thinking of all these things, there was an indescribable meaning in Su Changsheng's eyes. As the end of work approached, everyone was gradually preparing to leave, and Su Changsheng's return did not attract everyone's attention. This is a good thing for him, at least he won't be disturbed. Thinking of this, Su Changsheng opened the virtual space. See the G.level hidden robotic arm skills and drawings displayed. Su Changsheng chooses to use it directly. Accompanied by complex information entering the mind. Su Changsheng's eyes lit up. With a large amount of transformation information flooding his mind, he clearly felt the power brought by knowledge. These complex knowledge systems have filled Su Changsheng with expectations for the world for the first time. In his previous life, Su Changsheng was a top medical expert, but because of this, he was very clear that there are many things that science cannot explain. As many experts have pointed out, the current progress of scientific development can only explain and explore 5% of the world's material. What will the world really look like? But the world before us is completely different. Technological advancement has explained many phenomena that could not be explained in previous lifetimes. Strange and rampant, constantly breaking through the limits of humanity. Even humans may not necessarily be the strongest race. These unknowns and mysteries constantly stimulate Su Changsheng's nerves. He was never a timid person who could become the top surgeon in his previous life. Since there is no way to change the fact of traveling, compared to fear and worry, the top priority is to understand the current situation and do a good job of self-protection. Moreover, Su Changsheng even thought of a possibility. Perhaps people in this world can really touch the limits of humanity. Thinking of this, Su Changsheng could feel his heart pounding. That's something called adrenaline, running wild. A substance called dopamine is being secreted. For a moment, Su Changsheng suddenly felt that this world should be very interesting. At this point, he began to check the drawing information. Drawing of G.level hidden robotic arm. A hidden detachable robotic arm developed with the help of neuron external technology, greatly improving attack and defense capabilities as well as flexibility. Please refer to the finished product for specific information. Reminder. Technology not only frees up hands, but also adds more hands. You can equip multiple robotic arms at the same time. Materials required for the robotic arm. 1. Crossed neuron contacts. 2. Automatic contraction cobalt chromium alloy. 3. Biomimetic human skin. Of course, you can also purchase directly with cash. 1 million yuan. After seeing the information on the blueprint, Su Changsheng was somewhat surprised. This is not the modification of one's own arm in one's impression, but to add a new arm for oneself, and this arm has high attack and defense attributes. The most important thing is, can you equip yourself with multiple robotic arms? 3 heads and 6 arms. Hulua or Neza. Thinking of this, Su Changsheng's eyes were filled with small excitement. Imagine installing a dozen or so robotic arms on oneself, which used to require 4 or 5 people to complete surgery, and could be solved by oneself. Even when encountering robbers, it is difficult to have a situation where 2 fists are difficult to defeat 4 hands. This world is so dangerous. As a doctor, it shouldn't be too much to install more robotic arms for oneself, right? The key is that it can still be hidden. That's perfect. However, when he saw the required materials, he widened his eyes. If it weren't for purchasing directly with money, Su Changsheng almost cursed and withdrew from the group chat. Where do you need to collect these materials yourself? Even if it's converted into cash. It's not much better. After all, 1 million yuan per G.class robotic arm. According to the assumption that both parents have died, it is obvious that there is no opportunity to grow old. However, when it comes to converting it into money, it also saves a lot of unnecessary trouble. After all, many things cannot be explained clearly when traveling through time. However, the most important thing now is to figure out what this mysterious and unpredictable system is. How does it work? After all, this is his greatest reliance in this world. If he doesn't figure it out, it will make him feel very insecure. With a thought, Su Changsheng opened his own system. Su Changsheng's files contains monsters, and special items, all of which will receive rewards at different levels. The higher the level of inclusion, the richer the rewards. Su Changsheng was taken aback. When did I have the file? However, a very straightforward explanation. Let him understand at once. Name: Su Changsheng. Physical fitness, strength, stamina, endurance, etc. 5. Response, speed, agility, responsiveness, etc. 6. Skill. G.level robotic arm modification. Evaluation. Ordinary and unremarkable. It is indeed ordinary and unremarkable. There is no further information on how Su Changsheng studied. It seems that we can only wait until we encounter monsters. At this point, it was already past 5 p.m. The people in the office have already left. Su Changsheng is also preparing to get up and go home. Of course, Su Changsheng is currently the only one in this family. My parents left unexpectedly a year ago, and a younger sister was stimulated to stay in a mental hospital for a long time, unable to return home. This saved Su Changsheng a lot of trouble. After all, dealing with a younger sister is never an easy task. If one had not died of strangeness, let alone been discovered by the Augustine Institute, and had been wiped out by one's own sister, it would obviously not be a good thing. Although there is a distance from home. However, unlike usual, he did not take the subway or maglev directly home. But I decided to take a walk and see this unfamiliar world, while deepening my understanding. Coming out of the Augustine Institute, Su Changsheng was like Lu Lao Lao entering the Grand View Garden, curious everywhere. A building with a strong sense of technology and a speeding car. A naked-eye 3D billboard with dazzling light and shadow. Just like scenes in movies. These Su Changsheng have seen them on TV in his previous life. But after taking a few steps, Su Changsheng accidentally caught his eye by a huge object in the sky. That's actually a city floating in the air. This really scared Su Changsheng. Hey, stop looking, show me your ID, cooperate with the investigation. A sound interrupted Su Changsheng. At this moment, he turned around and saw a police officer with a loaded gun and a wary expression standing beside him. Su Changsheng was momentarily stunned, quickly nodded, and honestly took out his ID card from his pocket. At this moment, it was discovered that there were many police officers on the street, all of whom were armed with live ammunition. He instantly understood that his unusual behavior would naturally attract the police. You know, this is Area A of Beijing. A district known for its security, technology, and prosperity. The police directly inserted their ID card into the machine they carried with them, and then scanned Su Changsheng. After reading Su Changsheng's information and safety factor for a moment, the seriousness on his face immediately subsided and turned into a smile. Mr. Su is an employee of the August Research Institute, he said kindly and handed his identification to Su Changsheng. Hurry up and go home, the security hasn't been good lately. Oh. What happened? Su Changsheng asked nonchalantly. The police officer sighed helplessly and said, there are more and more illegal modification elements, as well as eerie intruders. They have a low safety factor, are irritable, and often engage in combat. It's estimated that there will be more at night, but that's about combat robots. We'll be off work soon. At this point, he looked at his watch and said in surprise, "Oh. There are still 5 minutes left." Su Changsheng nodded, pondered over the other person's words, and said, "Thank you." The police handed his ID card to Su Changsheng and said, "Mr. Su lives in Zone E, hurry back. By 10 o'clock, the robot doesn't care if you're from the August Institute." Su Changsheng took his ID card and smiled, make an effort to earn money to buy a house in Area A. The police officer chuckled and followed Su Changsheng up to look at the city floating in the sky, full of longing, saying, "It is said that life in the special zone is like a fairy, living there, and enjoying every day. If you want to buy from the special zone. However, the people above are either rich or noble, without enough contribution value, there is no chance to go up." This sentence also aroused Su Changsheng's memory. The city floating in the sky turned out to be Beiqing Special District. The people living above are all top influential figures with power and influence. And Su Changsheng's home is located in the E13 district of Beiqing, on the outskirts of the city. Urbanization is a symbol of human social progress. Beiqing City is very large, with several districts A, B, C, D, E, and F. The Augustus Institute where he works is located in the A8 district. It seems that every district, like a class, divides people and their circles. The development of technology has not only failed to narrow the wealth gap, but has also widened it. Area A far surpasses other areas in terms of security and prosperity. In contrast, the E area where Su Changsheng is located is like the dirty and messy LC area, filled with gambling, theft, red light areas, gunfights. So, Zone E is also known as the capital of crime. And the F district is even more so, it is a sunken place abandoned by the city, like a slum, where only abandoned and self-exiled people live in the E district. Even the police wouldn't go to that place. In fact, the so-called district is your authority in this city. Your permissions are not sufficient. You do not have permission to stay in high-level areas from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Otherwise, it would be very troublesome. The police will be off work soon. I can't wait to ride my motorcycle and leave, obviously not wanting to stay any longer. Su Changsheng walked around and took a look. When passing by a newly built community, he found that the infrastructure tools here had already been updated. And most importantly, it's rare to see people. Most of them are construction machines and professional robots, doing simple manual labor. Robots have replaced simple labor, and there are many young people passing the time on the streets and alleys. From Zone A to Zone E, Su Changsheng seems to be experiencing different eras. This feeling is like going from New York in the United States to the crime capital of Mexico, then to XLY during wartime, and finally to the slums. Although the entire city is well-developed, it gives it a clear sense of hierarchy and boundaries. Moreover, it is filled with a dull and oppressive atmosphere. No sense of vitality. However, when we arrived at Zone E in the evening, Su Changsheng only realized that he was wrong, completely wrong. The night in this city is like a awakened beast, and it is only then that it begins to unleash its wildness. Everywhere is bustling with lights and wine, cigarettes, alcohol. Young people are venting hormones that are nowhere to be released. On the way home, he personally experienced 5 pairs of liberating nature, 7 or 8 solicitors, 3 drug sellers, 1 robber, and 2 thieves. However, Su Changsheng turned a blind eye to all of this. Heroes save beauty. It doesn't exist. Because Su Changsheng felt that he should belong to beauty, not heroes. Along the way, Su Changsheng received many flyers and promotional materials. There is no recruitment, only some promotional bars, supermarkets, nightclubs, and restaurants. There are also some organizations similar to mutual aid societies, assistance societies, brotherhood groups, as well as several churches. It is obvious that everyone has too many emotions and relies on such an organization to release them. End of this chapter. You shouldn't mind chapter 4, right? You are listening at novelfull.audio. You shouldn't mind chapter 4, right? Su Changsheng's family is located in the E13 district of Beicheng. Located on the outskirts of the city. The deeper it goes, the clearer Su Changsheng's memory becomes. What surprised him a bit was that when his parents left in this lifetime, they also left him some wealth. An apartment and a small workshop on the second underground floor. This is an old and dilapidated community with over 50 floors. The walls are covered in graffiti, and even the anti-theft doors in the community are broken. Everywhere there is a pile of household waste, used bites can be seen from time to time, and some specially made silicone dolls. From time to time, various sounds of arguments, disputes, and painful cries could be heard around. Su Changsheng turned a blind eye. When he opened the door and entered the elevator, he heard a creaking sound that made Su Changsheng feel like he could fall at any moment. Just as he was about to enter the elevator, suddenly one hand grabbed his shoulder. Su Changsheng's face changed and he reacted quickly. Quickly bend down, grab the other person's arm, pull, twist, and send with all your might, straighten your back, and instantly exert force. The whole human body is like a chemical reaction. A tall man was instantly thrown into the elevator by a back fall. The tremendous force pressed down on the elevator, causing it to make a dripping sound. Ouch, Chao and Su Changsheng, you are so bloody. Su Changsheng ignored the other party. But silently pondering, my own strength seems to have been greatly improved. What's going on? When he felt the surging blood in his heart, I suddenly understood. Improvement of heart function. I underestimated the impact of this improvement. The heart is the center of blood circulation throughout the body, and its elevation will strengthen the ability of the circulatory system. Even to some extent, it can affect a person's explosive power and endurance. The power and reaction that erupted in the moment I just had is far beyond what I can usually compare. After thinking it through, Su Changsheng finally looked at the man who was thrown into the elevator by himself. Damn it, is Augustus Institute still training a person's physical abilities? My hand was already broken, but now it's even worse. The man lying on the ground grinned, patted the dust on his body, and stood up. The man is very tall, over 1.9 meters tall, very strong, weighing over 250 pounds. Su Changsheng recognized it as his old friend, Mengzi, whose real name is Yang Mengmeng, who works as a security captain in a bar in E13 district and works in clubs in E district. Yang Mengmeng, why didn't you go to see the show today? Su Changsheng asked directly, not mentioning the over-shoulder fall just now. The other party's face turned red when they heard Su Changsheng call, and they were even more excited than when they fell just now. Hurriedly came over and hugged Su Changsheng. Damn it, Grandpa, can you stop calling me by my name? Munga, I don't want face, do I? What a shame if someone knows me. Su Changsheng walked directly into the elevator and said, what's up? If it's okay, I'll go home. Mengzi pulled him down and raised his right hand, saying, the robotic arm is malfunctioning. Can you help me take a look? Which home should I go back to? Just go to the studio. Su Changsheng frowned and was about to refuse. Modified non-inflow robotic arm. Capable of increasing arm strength by 50 kilograms and equipped with sharp blade attacks. Task requirement. Collect information on the robotic arm. Task reward. 1. G.level arm weapon. Blade drawing information, 2. Physical fitness +1. Su Changsheng frowned as he looked at the prompt. Can this also be included in the information? And the rewards are really rich. Su Changsheng nodded and walked towards the studio in the basement with some anticipation. Mengzi followed behind with a grin on his face, complaining, hey, this thing is a bottomless pit. When I modified it, I spent more than 500,000 yuan. Just now, I was planning to repair it, but it ended up costing more than 20,000 yuan. It's a damn thing. When I get rich, I'll get a weird evolution hand. Although it's expensive, there's no need to break it and repair it. Su Changsheng remained silent throughout the entire process, which is very in line with his predecessor's character. This can also avoid unnecessary exposure of information. Mengzi had already become accustomed to this and spoke on his own. Not long after, Su Changsheng arrived at the entrance of the studio. There is a sign hanging above that reads, Su Family Modification Room, but from the dust, it seems that the door has not been opened for a long time. That's true. Since Su Changsheng's parents had an accident, he has rarely come. After the two of them entered, Mengzi immediately closed the door. Su Changsheng started tidying up the workbench, and everything here was very familiar. After all, he grew up here since childhood. Su Changsheng didn't say much about Mengzi's closing of the door. According to memory, this is one of his few friends. If the other person is hostile towards him, when he fell over his shoulder just now, he could have launched a sharp blade attack with a robotic arm. So, Su Changsheng didn't pay much attention either. The two fathers were comrades in arms. After changing jobs and returning, Su Changsheng's father opened this modification shop, while Mengzi's father joined the club. Su Changsheng worked hard in his studies and was admitted to a medical school. He was able to leave the E district and develop in a better district. However, Mengzi was influenced by the environment in E district, mixing among the 3 religions and 9 streams, and also obsessed with clubs and conflicts. Mengzi's father also hated iron for not becoming steel. He fought and cursed, but in the end, he had no choice but to let it go. The only thing that relieved him was that Mengzi had made a reliable friend, Su Changsheng. Time slowly drifted by. Su Changsheng has also tidied up the workbench almost. He turned to Mengzi and said, "You sit up, Move yourself and find a comfortable position." After listening, Mengzi sat up and skillfully clamped his robotic arm onto the workbench, moving his fingers, but he always felt something was wrong. Su Changsheng had to lament that in any era, medical students are the most challenging profession. The pressure is greater in this era. During my time in school, I studied a lot, including traditional medicine, as well as traditional Chinese medicine, forensic science, and supernatural medicine, all of which are compulsory courses. Of course, those who can be admitted to medical schools are all the proud ones of heaven. In proportion, at least they must be at the level of the Qing and Northern dynasties. Before Su Changsheng graduated from university, his parents had an accident and there was no opportunity for further education, so he returned to the August Institute in Beijing. If he continues to pursue graduate studies, he may choose either Erie medicine or prosthetic medicine. These are the most respected and promising disciplines in the world. Being able to learn a subject well is a top-level presence in this society. Moreover, medicine is actually the most explanatory discipline of the world. Strange medicine and paraphernalia medicine may be the best way to understand this world. However, advanced knowledge is controlled by federations and conglomerates, and ordinary people do not have the opportunity to enter. Mengzi looked at Su Changsheng and couldn't help but smile. "Don't be under pressure. I came here this time to let you try. If it's damaged, it won't affect you. Anyway, it's a work-related injury, and it's rare for an old oily head to bleed. I have to go to the repair shop for repairs in the end, so it's perfect for you to practice. To be a doctor, you need to do more hands-on work and learn more. Does your brother give you a chance, understand? Menggu, how are you?" Mengzi grinned. Su Changsheng felt relieved upon seeing this. It seems that the hope of completing the task is increasing. It's okay to dismantle it, right? Mengzi's face changed and he said, "Brother, it's almost the same. Don't really damage it. It's over 500,000 yuan. That stingy guy from Old Oil Head is in pain." Su Changsheng ignored and said, go up. Mengzi sat on the chair, half believing and half doubting, and reached his hand into the fixator, saying, I must have gone out without looking at the almanac. I shouldn't have come to see you. Su Changsheng gave a rare smile and began his own operation. Every time Su Changsheng disassembles a bit and deepens his understanding, he can make some progress. Collecting information, current. 1%. 2%. For a moment, he relaxed. At this moment, Yang Mengmeng was not calm anymore. Brother, you. I just asked you to repair it, I didn't ask you to dismantle it. Dad, dear Dad, really, I was wrong. I spent over 500,000 yuan. If something goes wrong, the old oilman will have to strangle me. Grandpa, ancestors. Please be merciful and don't dismantle it. As the last part was dismantled, Mengzi's heart was filled with death. 500000, I don't even have a wife anymore. At this moment, Su Changsheng suddenly heard the system sound ring. Ding. Collection completed, rewards obtained. 1. G.level arm weapon. Blade drawing information, 2. Physical fitness +1. With the improvement of physical fitness, Su Changsheng felt a strong change in both strength, endurance, and physical strength. Just thinking about it, there was a sudden increase of nearly 20%, and this change is definitely huge. Moreover, the information on the G-level arm weapon blade blueprint has also entered my mind. Su Changsheng is satisfied. By the way, what's the problem with your hand? Yang Mengmeng looked down at him, who was about to cry and have nothing to love. Mengzi suddenly trembled all over. This strong man, weighing over 250 pounds and 1.9 meters, couldn't hold back for a while and almost shed tears. The aggrieved look is like a pure and innocent person. Su Changsheng felt a bit sorry when he saw this, shrugged and comforted, well. I forgot to ask at first. You shouldn't mind, right? End of this chapter. Chapter 5. The Road to Wealth. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. The Road to Wealth. Mengzi took a few deep breaths to calm himself down. He was afraid of being angry to death. Who? Su Changsheng, your uncle. If it were someone else, I would crush his eggs. How could anyone become a doctor and start without asking about their condition? I just can't stretch my middle finger straight. You're so damn good, your whole hand was completely torn apart by you. Looking at the densely packed small parts on the workbench. Mengzi was sweating profusely, and he felt that his hand was useless. 500,000. 500,000. Upon hearing the sound, Su Changsheng remained silent and lowered his head to begin the operation. The task was completed, and he decided to give it his full play. I haven't tried the G.level robotic arm modification skill I just acquired yet. There are also 2 blueprints just obtained. A hidden robotic arm and an arm weapon blade. The contact mode of the neuronal junction can be changed to reduce the reaction time appropriately. The strength of the blade relies on the muscle strength of the robotic arm, which can be strengthened through gears. Su Changsheng began his own operation. It has to be said that this job is still very arduous. If it weren't for the 1-point increase in physical fitness just now, Su Changsheng felt that whether he could hold on was a question. There are many instruments and devices in the studio that can be used. As the first little mouse, Mengzi gave Su Changsheng a lot of room to play. I don't know how long it took, but Su Changsheng finally finished it. Mengzi also fell asleep in despair. Of course, it could also be due to fainting from anger. However, no matter how you fall asleep, Dr. Su has always been skilled in waking people up. I woke up with electricity, and my hair was also styled accordingly. Ciao, Su Changsheng, if you lose my hand, I won't say anything. You still want to kill me? Mengzi, in his sleep, was awakened and opened his eyes, cursing loudly. Su Changsheng pointed to his arm and said, "Try it out." Mengzi was taken aback and instinctively replied, "What? How is it?" Suddenly looking down and seeing his robotic arm, he widened his eyes and said, "Did you fix it?" After speaking, he got off the chair half believing and half doubting, stood up and moved his arms, and suddenly he was pleasantly surprised. "Me chow. What kind of rhythm is this? It feels so powerful. How do I feel like my hands are reacting faster and more agile?" Su Changsheng said directly, "Come and test it, and you'll know." The studio has simple testing tools. The main tests are routine values such as reaction, strength, and explosive power. In a few minutes, Mengzi looked at his robotic arm in surprise and swallowed. "Old Su, you. Did you really do this?" Su Changsheng walked up to the table, too lazy to talk nonsense, and opened a bill. "Come on, settle the bill." Mengzi ignored Su Changsheng and looked at the data in the instrument, feeling like he was dreaming. The arm strength increased to 80 kilograms, the stress response time of the arm was 600 milliseconds, the active response time was 350 milliseconds, and the blade strength surprisingly reached 20 T, which doubled. Mengzi couldn't believe it and sighed, "Old Su, this data can already be considered as a G.level robotic arm, right? When I was modifying at Fusion Group, I saw firsthand that the G.level robotic arm only has 120 kilograms of power, with a stress response time of 500 milliseconds. The cheapest low.end version of the beggar's version is worth up to 1.5 million yuan. You're too awesome." Su Changsheng heard the sound and looked at the 100,000 yuan on the bill, silently adding a zero at the end. 1 million, shouldn't it be expensive? However, is this a G.level? Isn't it very difficult? If there are better materials and devices, I should be able to do better myself. After all, mechanical transformation still largely relies on the materials themselves. Especially in terms of reaction time and strength, special materials of induction metal and force amplification devices are required. These are all technologies that cannot be replaced. When Su Changsheng was in college, he was still very interested in ED doctors. At that time, he was actually ready to apply for graduate school. Unfortunately, these things happened suddenly. However, he suddenly felt that he had the opportunity to apply for a volunteer doctor qualification. According to federal standards, the qualification standard for mechanical prosthetic doctors is to manufacture and repair a standard G.grade prosthetic limb. After passing the assessment, they can apply for a primary qualification. With this qualification, one can do many things. The most important thing is to earn money. After all, his father's studio actually doesn't have a business license at all, and he himself doesn't have basic qualifications. With a few skills learned from the army, he managed to support this black workshop. With this in mind, Su Changsheng walked over with the bill in his hand and said, "Let's settle the bill first." Mengzi was still addicted to his new robotic arm at this moment, and the joy in his eyes was much more joyful than seeing his new girlfriend. As he watched, Mengzi excitedly said, "That's amazing. Old Su, not bad. Isn't the Augustus Institute mainly studying eerie medicine? Why have we started working on prosthetics? How long have you been there and learned such a technique? It's amazing. Money cannot be reduced." Su Changsheng emphasized. Mengzi chuckled and took the bill. After seeing the numbers clearly, he shook his hands and said, "I'm Chow, 1 million. That's it, old oil head will definitely kill me." At that time, he was asked to pay 500,000 yuan to install a prosthetic body for me and almost vomited blood. Now, the bill for 1 million yuan. He was just a bit scared, but when he realized it, he had no doubts about the price at all. The prices of ETI are clearly marked, and you get what you pay for. ETI can reach G.level, but which one is not in the million level? So, he can't let his brothers suffer any more. Moreover, Su Changsheng also has a sister who needs long-term support, Su Lulu. Su Lulu, who lives in a mental hospital, needs a considerable amount of medical expenses every month. Mengzi is even less likely to pit his own brother. Moreover, this society is very chaotic. With such things around, I don't know how much my survival ability will improve. Mengzi himself lives by adding blood to his blade, and he is well aware of how much help this robotic arm can bring to him. Money can be earned slowly. But if one's life is gone, it's really gone. Mengzi calmed down and said, "Old Su, don't worry, the money won't be short. I'll come up with a solution for the old oilman, but the money is a bit too much. Can I pay you in installments?" "Yes, I can drive my car for you." Watching Mengzi's excited expression, Su Changsheng suddenly lost in thought. Actually, the material cost here was actually 70,000 to 80,000 yuan. To a large extent, the original equipment was modified and some new materials were added. If you spend money to make a set yourself, the cost would be around 300,000 yuan. Su Changsheng hesitated for a moment and said, "Forget it, just give me 100,000 yuan. Mengzi was taken aback and shook his head like a tambourine, saying, "It's not possible. This is just a joke. Saying 1 million means 1 million. Su Changsheng shook his head and said, "Don't refuse yet, I have conditions. If you introduce me to 10 clients, even if you pay off the debt, I will modify it into a real G-class robotic arm, with a blade strength of 50T or even 100T without any problem." Upon hearing this, Mengzi's eyes lit up and he said, TSK, pattern. This is the pattern. Old Su, reading books is not for free. No wonder I think the most correct thing I've ever done in my life is to make friends with you. Served. You're still amazing. Small question, leave this matter to me. By the way, how is our pricing more appropriate? Is it 1 million yuan? Mengzi suddenly asked, "I'm worried that 1 million yuan may be difficult. After all, going to some brand stores can get official products for 1.5 million yuan. After pondering for a moment, Su Changsheng said directly, "If it's 800,000 yuan, you can negotiate a set and give you a 100,000 yuan rebate." He is well aware that Mengzi's social relationships are very complex and he is more suitable for this than himself. But remember, you can have fewer people, but you must be reliable and trustworthy, Su Changsheng warned solemnly. Upon hearing this, Mengzi's eyes widened and he said, "Old Su, you're really interesting. I'll ask you about it. After all, there are not many people who can afford 800,000 yuan to do such things. Indeed, although the federal welfare in this society is very good, without a job, one can receive a basic living allowance of 1,000 yuan per month. But even for ordinary people, their monthly salary is around 3,500. In my previous life, a robotic arm was the price of a house. Compared to friendship, Su Changsheng now believes that the binding of interests will be more reliable. Of course, if the friendship between Su Changsheng and Mengzi is really strong, it's not a bad thing. It's always right to be careful when you're new here. Mengzi thought for a moment and said, "Leave this matter to me. But 100,000 is too much, I only need 50,000 for one person." Su Changsheng ignored him. After checking the time, it was already past 2 a.m. and he said, "I need to go to bed. I still have to work tomorrow. You can go back." Mengzi sneered and said, "Hee, you've worked hard, Lao Su. I'll tell you what. When I woke up today and asked the woman under the bed, she turned out to be called Magpie. I knew something good was going on as soon as I heard her name." Su Changsheng closed the door and didn't bother to talk to him. "Remember to transfer money to me." Mengzi has already run away excitedly. At night, he was very excited. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Soul Separation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Soul Separation. Su Changsheng's home is on the 39th floor. Coming out of the workshop in the basement, I was blown by the wind and woke up quite a bit. I thought it would be very quiet after 2 o'clock in the morning. Unexpectedly, there are still many people below. There is a saying in Zone E. The night in Zone E is black and red, but most of the time it is pink. Neon lights add a touch of intoxication to the night. Coupled with a few shouts from the little girl, it will make your heart surge even more. Su Changsheng stood below and looked at the little sister for 10 minutes. There was indeed something beautiful. Just as he was thinking about whether to save her, his stomach suddenly growled a few times. He hesitated for a moment before finally getting into the elevator. It's not because I'm hungry. It's because he remembered being poor. Although he has some assets now, a house and a studio, it is obvious that neither of them can be sold. As for the money, Su Changsheng hasn't seen him for a long time. My parents died in an accident without any compensation. And at that time, the rescue cost a lot of money, although in the end, people and money were still in short supply. Su Changsheng is now an intern who doesn't have much money. Apart from his own expenses, he also has to send it to a mental hospital. At this moment, Su Changsheng suddenly remembered that it seemed like he had to pay again at the end of the month. Lao Su's inheritance is almost finished. Su Changsheng sighed and walked into the dangerous elevator. He's a bit worried that this thing might fall off halfway. But running up to the 39th floor clearly kills people. The aging, slow, and anxious spiral elevator. Although there are no malfunctions, there is no riding experience, and the noise is really annoying and has no value. Su Changsheng looked at the information and was momentarily stunned, unable to help but laugh. This system is still very interesting. It didn't take long to arrive on the 39th floor. Even if it's aging and slow, it's much faster than in the previous life. Open the room door according to memory. The room is very tidy. This makes him very comfortable. Su Changsheng wandered around the room, looked at the photos, and his memory of the original owner increased significantly. However, without dinner, Su Changsheng was indeed a bit hungry. The stomach of a person is affected by emotions. If you eat too much, it will swell. If you eat spicy food, it will hurt. If you don't eat, you will still be hungry. But as a doctor, he is well aware that eating too much in the early morning is clearly not a rational thing. Of course, if the gastrointestinal function is enhanced by 50%, he will consider it. There are many letters in the room. It was sent by my sister Su Lulu. The psychiatric hospital does not allow the use of VR, virtual reality, helmets and mobile phones, and can only use this most traditional communication method. Su Changsheng patiently read several letters. Brother, I don't know why. I always forget a lot of things. They all say I've become foolish, and I don't know if it's true or false. But I'm so afraid of forgetting you. Brother, I have made a new friend. He looks like the Antarctic we raised when we were children, giggling. Antarctica is a dog that Su Lulu likes very much. He sleeps with it every night. Brother, I've been having nightmares every day lately. It's so scary. Last night, I dreamt of fighting someone else with a long gun in their hand, passing through my chest and bleeding a lot. I wake up every night from being scared. Letters are the only way for Su Changsheng and Su Lulu's siblings to communicate. Every time Su Changsheng writes back. But to comfort the little girl, Su Changsheng is really not very good at it. But not replying to the letter is clearly not the style of the original owner. But what should I do if I have a nightmare? Su Changsheng hesitated for a while, not knowing how to comfort him. Suddenly, with a stroke of inspiration, I picked up my pen and wrote a reply on paper. Every night before going to bed, read the Changsheng several times. The Great Way is invisible, giving birth to heaven and earth. The Great Way is merciless, running the sun and moon. The Great Way is nameless. People can always be quiet, and heaven and earth return when they understand. Well, should the Changsheng be effective? When Su Changsheng had a dream in his previous life, his friend suggested giving it a try, but later he found that Italian books were quite useful and he never used them. However, during that time, he learned the Buddhist and Taoist scriptures thoroughly. After finishing writing the letter, he was ready to take out his VR helmet and wanted to learn a little about the world. But I was too tired, so I tidied up a bit and hastily slept. Just when he slept until midnight, Su Changsheng suddenly woke up. He sat on the bed, panting loudly. At this moment, he was sweating profusely all over, as if he had just been pulled out of water, and even the sheets were soaked through. A suppressed suffocation made his nerves tense and he couldn't breathe. Immediately, he quickly got up and stumbled to the bed, pulling open the window. At this moment, it is still very dark outside. Gusts of cold wind blew, and a severe headache began to appear. Then came a feeling of emptiness and terror enveloping my heart. What's going on? Su Changsheng covered his head with both hands. I don't even understand what exactly happened. Ding. Detected that the host is suffering from soul stripping, current soul strength 90, full value of 100, Su Changsheng's face suddenly changed. Soul attack. What is the situation? Lying on the windowsill, the cold night breeze blew over Su Changsheng's face. He gasped for breath and gradually calmed down. What exactly happened? After a long delay, Su Changsheng finally felt better about himself. Half an hour later, he sat limply on the floor. Everything just now was like a dream. It seems that nothing has happened. Su Changsheng quickly opened the system and finally found an exception in the attribute bar. Host. Su Changsheng. Soul strength. 90 out of 100, continuous soul stripping state. Physical fitness, strength, stamina, endurance, etc. 6. Response, speed, agility, responsiveness, etc. 6. After Su Changsheng saw it, his eyebrows furrowed. Due to the increasing number of new terms, he became more curious about the world. He can understand his physical fitness and reaction. But what is this so-called soul strength? Why would I suddenly lose 10? What else is the state of soul detachment? Does this world already have soul research? Too many doubts made Su Changsheng suddenly lose his sleep. Why does one's soul suddenly decrease? Is there anything unclean on oneself? Does this state of soul detachment mean that one loses 10 soul points every day? Thinking of this, Su Changsheng's whole person is not doing well. If that's the case, I don't have many days left to live. Su Changsheng quickly began to analyze various things, hoping to get some clues. During the day, everything was normal and had no impact, but at night, after just falling asleep, I lost 10% of my soul strength. But I only had surgery today and didn't touch anything. No. There's a problem. Su Changsheng suddenly thought of another thing. Why are you wearing more and more? Is it the matter with the original owner? That's right. Whether or not you will travel on your own is related to this matter. It's very likely that the original owner's soul strength has started to be deducted, giving yourself a chance to travel. From this perspective, it is highly likely that the original owner offended someone or touched something that should not have been touched. Perhaps we should look for clues from our own predecessors. After some speculation, various clues made Su Changsheng sweat coldly from behind. It won't be long. I might also die, right? Now, Su Changsheng is very worried about one thing. Does he lose soul strength every night when he falls asleep? For a moment, where does he still feel drowsy? Su Changsheng began a meticulous examination to see if there were any special things on his body. But after searching inside and out several times, Mao didn't notice it. Searching online for clues related to soul detachment and soul strength is not helpful or meaningful. Su Changsheng is a bit anxious. He picked up the phone and wanted to consult an acquaintance, but hesitated for a moment before putting it down again. One thing is that he is surrounded by ordinary people and has no chance to come into contact with these things. Secondly, he felt that there were too many clues hidden behind the detachment of this soul. Su Changsheng calmed himself down. After half a day of tinkering, the sky was already bright. Su Changsheng looked at the time, tidied up, took a shower, and then walked towards the August Institute. He's planning to have an MRI and CT scan, maybe there's something in his head. Moreover, the instruments at the August Institute can detect some special things, such as eerie intrusions. Su Changsheng decided to discuss it later. Along the way, he often saw people camping drunk on the streets and park benches. When passing by, you can still smell a strong smell of alcohol. And the pedestrians around seem to have seen no strange things anymore. There are many more technological elements in subway stations. But overall it's similar to a previous life. One of the differences is that the advertisement looks better than before. The spokesperson has become increasingly interesting. City hero. Strange evolutioner. Rosha. City hero. Mechanical modifier. Li Wei. The City Heroes Championship is officially recruiting. What are you waiting for? Do you want to become the next city hero? Why don't you come and sign up? In the naked eye 3D scene, the two are fighting in the air, with a feeling of real swords and real guns, punching to the flesh, which is much more handsome than those special effects blockbusters. Su Changsheng looked at the advertisement with great interest. For the first time, I realized that even with good advertising, it can still attract people. In my previous life, I wanted to shoot such combat special effects, which could not be achieved without tens of millions or billions. However, what Su Changsheng is truly interested in. Still looking like Luo Xia and Li Wei. Rosha's limbs can change shapes at will, it's amazing. When fighting against the opponent in the air, a pair of wings sprouted from behind. And Li Wei's body, to be precise, is more like a robot, yes, like Iron Man. During takeoff, blue flames sprayed from the soles of the feet, and firearms and various sharp blades appeared on both arms. This humanoid mech is really a bit charming. Su Changsheng is also full of imagination. To be honest, he still admires Li Wei's husband and Luo Xia's wife. After all, they are braver than Su Xian and Ning Kaichen. However, what really caught Su Changsheng's attention was that there was a huge logo on Li Wei's body. That's Fusheng Technology Company. Similarly, Rosha's clothes also bear the logo of August Company. It is obvious that city heroes are no longer just two people, representing the interests of two large companies. However, upon reflection, the cost of such things is not something that ordinary people can afford. Li Wei's outfit was all modified with the smell of money. Similarly, Rosha is no exception. There should be a lot of eerie elements in his hands and even on his body. Su Changsheng estimated that his own system should also be able to help him become a powerful existence. But the premise is that you can survive. Thinking that his life may only last for 10 days, no, now it's 8.5 days, Su Changsheng's heart feels a bit more pressure. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Picking up the leaks. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Picking up the leaks. The existence of soul detachment made Su Changsheng feel like a knife hanging from his head. It seems like it could fall down at any time. The subway is coming soon. At this time, the characteristics of Zone E are also reflected. A dense crowd, everyone is pushing and shouting, with some queuing up, but there are also many people cutting in. A man rushed straight to Su Changsheng, his face full of indifference, chewing gum in his mouth. Su Changsheng gave the other person an expressionless look. What are you looking at? The other party saw Su Changsheng staring at them, looked around, and found that Su Changsheng was dressed like a typical social animal, and suddenly gained a bit of confidence. Su Changsheng remained silent. Soon, the subway door opened. Everyone crowded towards the inside. Su Changsheng had just entered, and the man was also by his side. Just as the door closed, Su Changsheng lifted his foot and kicked the opponent out. The impact of physical fitness +1 is still significant. This kick immediately confused the man. Get up from the ground and point your teeth and claws at Su Changsheng. However, the car had already been driven, and Su Changsheng lowered his head, pretending that nothing had happened. You don't need to buy a ticket for the subway. The biggest benefit of this world is the improvement of infrastructure. The seemingly inconspicuous details saved Su Changsheng a large amount of expenses, preventing his originally struggling family from starving to death. It takes an hour and a half for the subway from E13 to A8. It's already past 8 o'clock when we arrive at the company. Standing at the entrance of the company, looking at the colossal August Institute, Su Changsheng suddenly felt that he was too small. August Company is very large and has many branches throughout the entire federation. The Institute of Biology, located in the A8 district of Beicheng, is his direct subordinate research institute, undertaking some important scientific research projects. This includes the anatomical work of Geary studies. Beicheng Augustus studies all three areas. Zone A is the experimental area. Zone B is the research and development area. Zone C is the clinical hospital area. Su Changsheng walked to the entrance of the clinical hospital, skillfully inserted his ID card into the card slot, and then faced the instrument, performing 4 or 5 security checks, accompanied by a pass sound. Su Changsheng successfully entered. This almost stringent automated security checkpoint is said to use strict military security equipment. Moreover, each city branch of August Company was built in the form of a wartime fortress. After entering, Su Changsheng was about to walk forward when he suddenly heard a sound. Stop! Su Changsheng was momentarily stunned. He turned around and saw a fully armed man with a loaded gun walking towards him, with an automatic scanner in his eyes, vigilantly staring at himself as he entered. Su Changsheng couldn't help but wonder, yesterday was still Mr. Zhao's, why did it suddenly change today? Moreover, he is still such a fully armed person. Hello, Su Changsheng took the initiative to say hello. The other party was cold and didn't answer Su Changsheng's words. Instead, they walked straight over and said emotionlessly, "Show me the itinerary record." Su Changsheng was taken aback, opened his phone, and a clear itinerary record suddenly appeared on his phone. The man saw that everyone was in Beicheng and there was no record of leaving the city, so he was allowed to pass. After leaving, Su Changsheng couldn't help but frown and leave the city. He doesn't dare to go out even if he wants to. You should know that eerie invasions not only involve humans, but also other organisms. Isn't going out seeking death. No, where has Mr. Zhao from the gatekeeper gone? You know, he has been at the Augustus Institute for 3 months now. It has always been Mr. Zhao. Moreover, he came to the August Institute in A8 district from the beginning of its establishment. Today. Surprisingly, someone changed. Did something happen? Su Changsheng couldn't help but think more in his heart. However, Su Changsheng was just thinking about it. After all, what happened in August has nothing to do with Su Changsheng. He is just an insignificant figure in the research institute, just an intern in the C district. To put it bluntly, his status is not as good as that of the gatekeeper Lao Zhao. You should know that the entire hierarchy system of the Augustus Institute is almost strict. Here, level determines authority, and authority determines everything. Su Changsheng is an intern with only temporary access and the right to enter and exit some public places. After all, his daily job now is to follow the superior doctor, fight and help, run errands, and so on. If it weren't for Yang Huanqing's favor and wanting to show him the world, he wouldn't have had the opportunity to participate in yesterday's surgery. That's right, everything you do here needs to be divided according to permissions and levels, let alone surgery. Generally, new employees have 6 levels of authority. Yang Huancheng is a veteran employee here, with 5 levels of authority. As the director of the C6 department, Changsheng has 4th level authority and can independently handle large-scale surgeries. He can basically enter and exit most areas of the entire research institute, and most importantly, he can prioritize obtaining products from the August Institute. And this permission is mainly enhanced by contribution value. The entire August company has a systematic and scientific contribution evaluation mechanism. The person in charge of the Beijing branch is said to live in the Beijing Special District, Sky City, and he has the 2nd level authority of the August Institute, as well as the senior authority of Beijing. These are all great figures beyond his reach. Each department in Zone C is a standard 4-story building. The first floor is the office area, the first floor is the ward, and the first floor is the surgical area. The other floor is the warehouse. However, what is stored in this warehouse is not medicine, but corpses. Because the affiliated campus of the August Institute is itself a strange treatment center. Many patients who have been invaded by eerie creatures do not have family members to claim them, so they can only be temporarily stored and made into rough shapes for young doctors to practice, or simply destroyed. Su Changsheng's job is very simple and boring. In the morning, I recorded yesterday's surgical process in the office area, followed by a ward round with the superior physician, and finally sent the body to the warehouse for recording and counting. However, this morning, the entire office was unusually quiet. All senior doctors are not in the office. Chang is not here, and neither is Yang Huancheng. There are only some young doctors in the office, upon closer inspection, all of whom have level 6 authority. Su Changsheng didn't care either. As usual, he recorded the process of yesterday's heart removal surgery. Get up and prepare the patient information of the 4 patients who underwent surgery yesterday, and walk towards the warehouse. He needs to put the relevant information of yesterday's patients in the corresponding location. Regarding the morgue, Su Changsheng originally did not have much emotion. After all, I have been a surgeon for 2 lifetimes, and there are many dead people in my hands. What can I fear? But as soon as Su Changsheng entered, he was stunned. There are many giant glass jars resembling specimens in the room. Inside the transparent glass jar, soaked in corpses, stood on both sides, this eerie feeling that Su Changsheng had never experienced before. This is not the most crucial thing yet. The most crucial thing is, these people really have a big difference in appearance from ordinary people. Su Changsheng stood on the side, looking at the information pasted on the glass wall. G.level eerie invasion leads to skeletal abnormalities in both hands. He looked up and found that the bones of the other person's hands had formed a curved knife. All these specimens around are like this, each person has various different changes. When Su Changsheng saw a man with wings growing behind his back, he couldn't help but think of the man in the video he saw at the subway station, seemingly named Luo Xiao. Su Changsheng shook his head and walked towards the morgue behind him. He was ready to put away the information and leave. Although not afraid, no one wants to stay in the morgue all the time. He looked at the information table and opened the cabinet according to the code. After comparing the surgical information with the face and surgical site, place the data in a small box outside the cabinet, attach a graphic code, indicating that it can be taken away. Because these bodies cannot stay here for long, either notify the family members to claim them as soon as possible, or they will be sent away in a concentrated manner. No matter which era, hospitals are not charitable organizations. Su Changsheng has been doing this job for 3 months now and is quite proficient. Looking at the body, compare the photos one by one, and put the information in the box outside the cabinet. However, some patients have their faces cut off, resulting in no facial recognition and can only perform surgical feature comparison. Just like this corpse in front of us. He had his entire face completely cut off. It looks a bit scary. However, just as Su Changsheng checked the body, he suddenly saw a prompt in front of him. G.level eerie facial attachment residue. G.level eerie invasion reduces facial recognition and allows for arbitrary changes in facial structure, which can cause interference when facing surveillance. Task requirement. Extract samples. Task reward. G.level eerie facial attachment extract, which can slightly alter facial tissue structure and cause certain interference when facing monitoring. Residues. Su Changsheng was suddenly awakened. What is this? Did you find the treasure? Su Changsheng was a bit excited. After hesitating for a moment, Su Changsheng cautiously pressed his hand onto the opponent's face, which had already been largely cut off. The system prompt sounds slowly. Extracting. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Rich rewards. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Rich rewards. Ding. Extraction completed. Task completed, reward obtained. G.level eerie facial attachment extract, can be slightly adjusted on the face. Do you want to use it? Accompanied by a burst of sound. Su Changsheng was first delighted, and then immediately thought of something. There is surveillance in the room. Isn't it a typical case of seeking death to change one's face here? He quickly put the information into the box, then pretended to be in a hurry and ran into the toilet. The toilet is not monitored. Su Changsheng found a pit and immediately chose to use it. After a moment, he clearly felt that his face seemed to be undergoing some subtle changes. He calmly picked up his phone, turned on the camera, and looked at himself. He began to change his appearance slightly. The skin has turned a little darker. The nose has become more erect. After a moment, a strange face appeared on the phone screen, with no trace of Su Changsheng. At this moment, Su Changsheng knew that he had found the treasure. Immediately afterwards, his mind twitched. Subsequently, the entire screen on the phone began to blur. He was pleasantly surprised to find that this should be the so-called video interference, right? Immediately afterwards, he took several photos. In the footage taken by myself, my facial structure is very blurry. I can't even recognize myself. For a moment, Su Changsheng became excited. This thing is definitely robbing families and houses. No, it's a good thing to rob the rich and help the poor. However, when he released this feature, he soon realized that his phone could take photos again. Surprisingly, it is still controllable. Good thing. I really found a treasure. After tasting the sweetness, Su Changsheng made a bold decision. Do you want to go check next to each other? But looking through it so casually, it is obvious that it is somewhat illogical. After the surveillance room sees it, they may also find themselves in trouble. It's better to take preventive measures. Although I feel a bit heartbroken. However, Su Changsheng felt that his greatest strength was his ability to control his desires. I left the bathroom. He got up and went straight back to the office. At this moment, everyone in the office is extremely busy. After all, with so many fewer people all at once, the workload has also increased significantly. I can't keep up with answering the phone, writing medical records, and dealing with some patients. Here, a nurse walked in and said to a man. Dr. Wang, the logistics department has come to pick up the unclaimed body. Wang Ko frowned and said, Didn't you see that I'm busy? Let them come and collect it another day. The little nurse felt a bit aggrieved and said, But the warehouse can't stop. There may be surgery this afternoon. When the time comes. Wang Ko also had a headache and said, Hey, Director Su is not here. I have a lot of things to deal with here, so I don't have time. Upon seeing this, Su Changsheng was immediately delighted. He walked over calmly and said, Dr. Wang, let me help you verify it. Wang Ke's eyes lit up when she saw Su Changsheng and said, Is it convenient? Su Changsheng smiled and said, What's going on here? Wang Ke suddenly smiled and her gaze at Su Changsheng became even more friendly. Thank you for your hard work, Xiao Su. I'll treat you to dinner another day. Today is really too busy. Wang Ke said as she took out the table materials from the drawer. This is the main table, please check it. Don't claim it wrong and treat someone with family members as waste, it will cause a lot of trouble. Take it seriously, one by one. Su Changsheng laughed in his heart. Jing Chou has no excuse. He returned to the warehouse with the information in hand. This time, he had a legitimate reason. Su Changsheng looked at the table one by one. But after checking 10 times, there was no gain. When checking the 11th one. G.level leg attachment residue. Greatly enhances leg strength and explosive power. It has collection value. Task requirement. Extract samples. Task reward. G.level leg residual extract, which can increase leg strength by 10%. Another harvest. Su Changsheng suddenly became excited. 60 more cabinets. Su Changsheng decided not to let go. Ding. Skin defense has significantly increased. Su Changsheng was momentarily stunned and hesitated when faced with the reward. However, I still chose to use it. Anyway, thick skin is not a disadvantage. Ding. Your hearing has improved by 50%, so Su Changsheng stayed in the morgue for a whole morning. After each completion, there will be a record of what looks like. His behavior is definitely a diligent and excellent intern under surveillance. After inspecting all 60 morgue cabinets, Su Changsheng finally breathed a sigh of relief. Rich harvest. Facial changes, increased leg muscle strength, increased skin defense, improved hearing. These are all practical skills. Especially thick skin and facial changes. After returning to the office, Su Changsheng handed the form to Wang Ke. Teacher Wang, it's checked and there's no problem. Wang Ke smiled and said, okay, thank you for your hard work, Xiao Su. Su Changsheng smiled, waved his hand, and returned to his position. He sat in a chair, and Su Changsheng suddenly had ambitions. He set himself a goal. In 10 days, explore the sea area of the Augustus Institute. I searched the entire research institute within a month. However, it's a bit regrettable that I can only go to my own department's morgue and want to go to other departments. My authority is clearly not sufficient. As Su Changsheng sat in the chair pondering, a rumbling sound sounded in his stomach, followed by a wave of hunger. Isn't that right? I ate a lot of food this morning, why am I hungry again? Quickly, he realized that it was very likely that these rewards had consumed too much energy. Until December 2000, noon, Yang Huancheng and his team had not returned yet. Su Changsheng had no time to attend to anything else and got up and headed straight for the restaurant. The August Institute manages lunch and offers a high standard of eating for 15 yuan. After Su Changsheng came in, he simply ate 6 chicken legs, 3 bowls of rice, 12 chicken wings, 21 shrimp, and 2 bowls of soup. Looking at the pile of wet garbage in front of him, Su Changsheng suddenly felt that the 15 yuan had been earned. But just as he was about to leave, he heard people around him whispering. What he couldn't hear in the past, after all, it was so far away. But his hearing has greatly improved today. I'm telling you something, don't tell anyone. What's wrong? Didn't you see me? The gatekeeper has been replaced today. Yeah, where did Lao Zhao go? Last night, a strange thing happened inside the Augustus Institute. At 4 a.m., 6 people died. And the cause of death is unknown. Is it really fake? What am I deceiving you for? At 5 o'clock, all those with level 5 or higher permissions in Zone C received a notice and urgently held a meeting to discuss and find the reason. There hasn't been any result yet. I see. How did you die? I heard that the cause of death is quite mysterious, it seems to have been caused by a severe headache, and I'm not sure. Su Changsheng, who had just felt like he had made a lot of money, was about to get up and leave. After hearing these words, he couldn't help but ponder. No wonder the director is not here today. So something happened, however. 4 o'clock in the morning. Severe headache. Death. When these three words were combined, Changsheng let out a click. Because time, the symptoms seem to be somewhat similar to myself. But he is not sure if there is a relationship between the two. Changsheng couldn't help but ponder deeply. He thought for a long time, but still didn't have a definite answer. Because he doesn't even know the reason for soul detachment and who the real culprit is. I can't think clearly, and Changsheng didn't worry too much. When facing things beyond one's control, being prepared to the best of one's ability is the right choice. Just as Changsheng was about to continue eavesdropping, the phone rang. Changsheng picked it up and saw that it was Dr. Zhang from a mental hospital. He hurriedly got up, left the restaurant, answered the phone, and exchanged a few words. Dr. Zhang, hello, have you had your meal yet? Dr. Zhang is the chief physician of Changsheng's sister. The other party did not show any courtesy to Changsheng and directly said. Mr. Su, it's like this. Your sister's condition has been getting worse lately. The original treatment plan had little effect, and she would have seizures every night, and may even injure her patients. We need to send her to a single patient room now, and the treatment plan also needs to be upgraded. However, the cost of treatment also needs to increase. Changsheng suddenly became worried when he heard that Su Lulu had an accident. Indeed. Changsheng has traveled through these 2 days, feeling that he has inherited not only the original owner's body, but also many emotions. The most intense stroke among them is towards Su Lulu. Therefore, when he heard the other person's words, Changsheng instinctively had some worries, and even asked anxiously. Okay. Okay. Okay, Dr. Zhang, please make sure to help Lulu. Regarding the money, I will come up with a solution, you don't have to worry. I will definitely cooperate actively. Dr. Zhang remained silent for a moment and said, Mr. Su, you haven't paid last month's money yet. The nurse has called several times to urge you. When I called you today, I actually meant to tell you that the subsequent expenses will be relatively high. If you can't afford it, you'd better take her home. Changsheng's face felt a bit embarrassed when he heard the sound. Excuse me, how much does it cost in total? I already owe over 20,000 yuan before, and the monthly expenses may be around 30,000 to 50,000 yuan. I think you should consider it as soon as possible and give us a response. Changsheng took a deep breath and said, Okay, Dr. Zhang, I'll give you an answer no later than tomorrow night. Okay. After hanging up the phone, Changsheng opened his phone. After checking the account balance, I couldn't help but feel a headache. The total is only 2,666.01 yuan. This is enough for regular expenses, but it is not enough to cover the medical expenses of 6. What should I do? Changsheng suddenly felt a bit confused. He stood below for a few minutes, sorted his thoughts, and then returned directly to the office. Take out a piece of paper from the drawer. Taking up his pen, Changsheng began to list out the things he needed to do, hoping to organize his thoughts. Soul peeling. Is there a connection between the bizarre death of gatekeeper Lao Zhao and similar symptoms? Changsheng is only speculating about this matter, but cannot be certain. However, whether it is or not, it is necessary to improve one's own strength and be prepared. So, in the face of such a complex world, the most important thing is still the issue of strength. The second question is here. How to enhance strength? My biggest bargaining chip is the system. Enhance your strength by collecting mechanical artifacts and mysterious and eerie attachments. The incident of picking up leeks this morning has strengthened Changsheng's intention to stay. Not only can one obtain extracts through surgery. You can also Improve your abilities by picking up leaks. So the August Institute cannot leave. Not only can't you leave, but you also need to improve your permissions as much as possible, be able to access more occasions, provide opportunities for your system. But in this way, the problem has arisen again. Strength improvement is too slow. Indeed, if one stays in a company for a short period of time, it is clearly a bit challenging to improve combat effectiveness by collecting these things. No one knows when danger will come. So, we can only rely on mechanical entities. However, the price of the characters on my own blueprint is as high as 1 million yuan per piece. How can't we prepare 3 or 4 pieces to form a certain level of combat effectiveness? There is also a need to spend money on the treatment of Su Yoyo's illness. So, we encountered the fourth problem. Money. After much thought, Su Changsheng suddenly realized that money may be the fastest way to improve his own strength. It can increase one's self-protection ability for a period of time. It can also solve the treatment cost of Su Lulu. The last question has arisen. How to make money? Su Changsheng carefully analyzed himself and found that there are several ways he can earn money now. Firstly, the direction of mechanical semantic body. Secondly, undergo black surgery. Su Changsheng searched online. Quickly, he discovered that there was a large mechanical prosthetic market in F2 district, similar to a black market. Thinking of this, Su Changsheng decided to go and have a look tonight. After figuring out the situation, Su Changsheng burned the paper directly. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Will the brain still think after a person dies? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Will the brain still think after a person dies? It wasn't until after 3 o'clock in the afternoon that the staff from the department returned. However, Su Changsheng was surprised to find that it seemed that everyone's faces were not good looking. What exactly happened? At this moment, Zheng Chang walked in and glanced at the crowd, saying in a somewhat solemn tone, "Everyone, stop your work and I'll say something." Recently, there have been some incidents within the research institute, and the specific reasons are not yet clear. We need to keep it confidential for now. However, in recent times, everyone has been more vigilant. If you find yourself or a patient experiencing headaches or similar situations, please report them in a timely manner. After Zheng Chang finished speaking, Su Changsheng's worries grew even more. Has the research institute not found the real reason? After much thought, he decided to hide his situation. After all, the situation is very unclear now. If it is reported, it is highly likely that I will use it as a mouse. After speaking, Zheng Chang looked at the people present and suddenly began to call the roll. Wang Yu, Zhao Zhe, Yang Huancheng. You guys come with me. After Zheng Chang finished speaking, he was about to leave with everyone when he suddenly saw Su Changsheng. After hesitating for a moment, he said, "Your name is Su Changsheng, right? You should come along too." After speaking, he turned around and left. Leave Su Changsheng with a bewildered expression on his face. What are you going to do? Yang Huancheng was taken aback for a moment, obviously not expecting the director to have Su Changsheng undergo surgery. We will go to the gatekeeper's old Zhao's body for autopsy later, be clever. Also, today's situation is a bit off, you must be careful and cautious. Su Changsheng's eyes lit up when he heard the sound. He followed behind the crowd without saying a word. To be honest, Zheng Chang's sudden roll call surprised him a bit. Maybe I can get the clue I want through Lao Zhao's autopsy. Thinking of this, Su Changsheng's heart couldn't help but beat a bit faster. The dissection room is not far from here. What Zheng Chang wants to dissect is the body of gatekeeper Lao Zhao. Following along came a 4-person surgical team led by Zheng Chang. There is a middle-aged man in the team, named Wang Yu, who is a mechanical arm with both hands and a serious smile, wearing golden glasses and seemingly keeping a distance from everyone. He is also the leader of the surgical team and Chang's assistant. After seeing Su Changsheng, his gaze lingered on him for a few seconds, then he thought of yesterday's surgery and said expressionlessly, "Don't pull your hind legs." After speaking, he led the way to the operating room. Su Changsheng was left stunned. Yang Huanqing followed Su Changsheng behind and comforted him, saying, "Don't mind, Captain Wang has this personality. But remember, you'll go in later. Look more, think more, and speak less." It can be seen that Yang Huanqing still attaches great importance to Su Changsheng. The atmosphere in the operating room is quite solemn. After all, what has happened in the research institute is like a dark cloud floating on anyone's head. No one knows if this kind of thing will happen to them. The most important thing now is to identify the cause of death, find clues, and then find the real culprit. The door of the operating room quickly closed. Chang's face was stern, staring at everyone present and after a round of inspection. With a solemn expression, he said, "Today's dissection work is very important. It concerns the honor of the Augustus Institute. I hope everyone can cheer up. The instruction from the leader above is to find clues as soon as possible, the better. I'm not hiding it from everyone, and if this work is completed, you can earn a generous August contribution. And everyone present has a share. Alright, let's start the dissection work now. Remember, don't say anything you see here." Chang's words fell. Open recording. The nurse quickly nodded. Soon, a monitoring screen appeared on the large screen of the operating room. The scene of Lao Zhao's death was broadcasted on the television in the dissecting room. At 4:10 a.m., Lao Zhao was in the room and suddenly woke up. He held his head in both hands and slapped it fiercely. However, this obviously couldn't relieve the headache, so he started banging his head on the ground and walls. Bang bang bang, the impact sound appears extremely realistic in the surveillance footage. The force of each impact is very strong. Seems indifferent to the gurgling blood. Gradually, Lao Zhao was covered in blood and fell into a pool of blood. The whole scene is very eerie. Moreover, the camera is too clear, even the painful and desperate expression of Lao Zhao was captured clearly. Seeing this scene, Su Changsheng felt like he was flipping the river and the sea in his heart. Same. It's the same, it's all crazy headaches. At this moment, Su Changsheng's heart became more and more convinced that his symptoms were almost identical to those of Lao Zhao. And now, the quietness in the office is somewhat frightening. After reading it, almost everyone felt a chill in their spine. For this eerie death, it's just too strange. Immediately, everyone begins to discuss. Does it look like a mental illness? Not like that. And mental illness requires a past history, and the deceased's resume is clear and there is no history of mental illness at all, which can be ruled out. Is there a special kind of strangeness that directly attacks humans? Chang shook his head directly and said, "This does not conform to the attributes of strangeness. Strangeness is a symbiotic relationship with the human body." At this point, Chang's face suddenly changed and he thought of several possibilities, saying, "Unless this is an advanced and eerie attack method." Chang has been engaged in related work in August for many years, with rich experience and a good understanding of strange habits. After hearing Director Zhang's words, everyone was stunned. Everyone began to ponder. And at this moment, Su Changsheng was even more so. He felt that this possibility was extremely high. Is there a possibility that this is a high-level eerie attachment to the human body, entering the late stage, or even the end stage, and then launching an attack on ordinary people? Chang began to refine his judgment. That is to say, these few people are just eerie targets of attack. After listening to Chang's judgment, everyone's eyes lit up and they all nodded. It's very likely. Yes. This may be a strange phenomenon that we have not recorded yet. After obtaining these clues, everyone became somewhat excited for a moment. After all, a strange and unrecorded phenomenon with extremely high inclusion value can earn a large amount of contribution value. Since it's an attack, there will inevitably be clues left, preparing for an autopsy. Zheng Chang immediately issued the order. The team also quickly entered a state of readiness. The first step in an autopsy is to examine the appearance of the body. Under special lighting and potions, almost all traces have nowhere to hide. However, the surface of the corpse is very clean, and apart from regular anatomical wounds and head impact injuries, there are basically no other defects visible. No one thought there would be any clues on the surface of the body. So, after conducting a thorough autopsy, the focus was directly shifted to the internal structure. Do a radiation test first. Add a creepy image for testing. In the operating room, these equipment are all very complete. Moreover, Su Changsheng had to lament that the hardware facilities of this era are truly amazing. This CT scanner really looks too clear. I really want to move back to Earth. To everyone's disappointment, the inspection results were very ordinary, and there were basically no abnormal signals visible. So, the next step can only be internal dissection, which is dissection. Just when Su Changsheng thought he was going to use a sharp open chest knife, he was surprised to see a mechanical knife directly appear on Wang Yu's robotic arm. Soon, there is already a Y-shaped incision on the chest. From the shoulder joints of both arms all the way to the center of the chest, extending below to the perineum. The incision is clean and sharp. It's effortless. Su Changsheng stared at Wang Yu's multifunctional surgical robotic arm, his eyes full of envy. This. Such a good thing. It's not just Su Changsheng's heartbeat. The system is also very exciting. G.Grade multifunctional surgical robotic arm. A practical robotic arm containing various surgical instruments, with inclusion value. Task requirement. Collect information. Task completion reward. 1. G.Level practical surgical robotic arm. 2. Reaction +1. So, Su Changsheng swallowed his saliva and continued to pass the knife. Su Changsheng believes that as a surgeon, it should be very satisfying to have an external robotic arm like this. However, replacing his hands with robotic arms is still somewhat difficult for Su Changsheng to accept. After all, there are too many things that can be done by hand. However, he has a hidden external robotic arm blueprint that seems to be able to be improved. The dissection work is constantly deepening. Organs were removed one by one, weighed and analyzed, samples were collected, and sliced for analysis. Every step is very meticulous. Time passes by minute by second. No abnormalities were found in the chest cavity, and the same applies to the abdominal cavity. All tests, including kidney, liver, stomach contents, bile, urine, etc., seem to be normal. But everyone is also very calm. After all, from the beginning everyone felt that the key cause of the disease may be in the skull. Now, everyone is waiting for the craniotomy. It was still Wang Yu who took action. This humanoid mechanical surgical instrument is an absolute temptation in front of Su Changsheng. However, soon, the skull was slowly uncovered by Wang Yu's robotic arm. The scene before us stunned everyone. What is the situation? This isn't dead. What's going on here? At this moment, everyone can clearly see that the internal structure of the brain is clear and complete, even accompanied by the pulsation of blood, as if the brain is breathing and pulsating. This kind of mental image surprised everyone. Old Zhao is clearly already dead. Why is his brain still working? P.S. This book has been signed, and I hope everyone can provide more support. By the way, I would like to request a monthly pass. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Su Changsheng's Strengths. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors.